Injuries are a part of life in the game of football, and oftentimes they always come at the worst possible time. Well, for Michael Badgley, that case was definitely true as he just got some really bad news about his upcoming season. We're going to talk about it in this episode, folks, so stay tuned.
What are we? What makes us what we are and what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5 end zone touchdown Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions fans, and welcome on back to yet another episode, a quick update episode from MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and with that, we're diving on in. So here's the thing, folks. Obviously, by this point, almost everybody has heard the news that Dan Campbell released this morning at the press conference that kicker Michael Badgley is officially being put on IR. His season is done after sustaining what was told by Dan Campbell, a significant injury to his leg. Now, what was that significant injury? The injury was that he tore his hamstring during pre-practice drills, and that was apparently what happened. Now, nobody has apparently found out what he was doing when he tore his hamstring, but it's quite plainly obvious he didn't tear it stretching. He must have torn it while he was trying to kick field goals. Now, some people have come to speculate how or why the freaking, hamstring of Michael Badgley's got tore. Some people speculate that it was Michael Badgley trying to keep up in competition with Jake Bates. Is there plausibility to this? Yeah, sure, of course there's a plausibility. There's absolutely I guess you could call it a chance that actually was the case. But until confirmed otherwise, we really don't know. But I do know this. The biggest thing about Jake Bates coming into camp is his booming leg. And obviously, Michael Badgley is competing for the job, or was competing for the job, so he's obviously going to try to keep in the race as much as possible. Is it possible that he probably tried to put too much into a kick, and maybe, that's what tore the hamstring? Who knows? All I know is that this is now the situation, which in turn brings us to the conversation about Jake Bates. Jake Bates is now officially the only kicker that is now on the roster. The Lions don't have any other kickers that are actually healthy. Because let's think about it. We cut James Turner, who then got picked up by the Packers. Then we had only Michael Badgley and Jake Bates left. Michael Badgley is now going to IR, requiring his hamstring to be repaired. So now Jake Bates is the only one that's left. Now, according to Dan Campbell, he specifically stated that the Lions were going to bring in other kickers to compete with Jake Bates. But I'm telling you this right now, if you take a look at the free agency market for kickers, there's not really anybody out on the market that I think is really going to push Jake Bates out of a potential job. Because at this point, Jake Bates is probably better than anybody that's out there on the market. So if anything, all the Lions are going to do is just be bringing in somebody to compete with Jake Bates just to push him, but I sincerely doubt they're bringing in anybody to replace Jake Bates. Now, overall, what does this news mean? Well, there are a couple of things it can mean. Number one, for those that have been clamoring for Jake Bates, I'm going to tell you this. You definitely just got your wish in the worst way possible, but you got your wish because now Jake Bates is almost guaranteed to be the starting kicker for the Detroit Lions going into this year. Again, unless there is something that drastically happens between now and the beginning of regular season, I don't see how Jake Bates doesn't become the kicker for the Detroit Lions going into 2024 because of all the phenomenon that's coming from him from when he was in the UFL coming into the NFL, the popularity that he has with the fans, the fact that he has a booming kicking leg, and the fact that his very first day at practice he went 6 for 6. It looks like he is on a very strong path being able to make the Detroit Lions roster and being the starting kicker at this point, which this is why I think if we're being logical about this, this might be again, I hate saying it like this because injuries are never good, and I don't wish an injury on anybody. But for Jake Bates, this might have been the best news for him because now it means that he is almost guaranteed to get an NFL job. Not just, being on a practice squad, but actually being able to, play on an NFL team. And not just any team, the Detroit Lions, a team that's very rich in kicking history and one of the best teams in the NFL right now that's considered a Super Bowl contender. That is a perfect position to be in if you are a young kicker that is trying to establish yourself in the NFL after cutting your teeth in the UFL. So for Jake Bates, even though this is bad overall news just from a human standpoint, it's great news for his personal standpoint. What does this also mean for the other kicker in this situation, Michael Badgley? Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. The fact that he tore his hamstring is bad. Dude, I'm telling you this right now. I've never tore a hamstring, but I've pulled one. I have pulled it, and it was one of the worst things I ever had to deal with. It was absolutely horrendous. It took forever for that thing to get better. You tear a hamstring? Dude, that is almost impossible to come back from because you are dealing with such a massive muscle on the backside of your freaking leg, and depending upon which leg he tore, which I'm assuming it was his right leg, which is his kicking leg, that is going to have such a massive impact to his ability to kick the football because without a hamstring, you really can't walk, let alone kick, have any sort of power. Your hamstring is responsible for a lot of your leg's ability to move and to develop power as you're moving. So I'm telling you this right now, just from the standpoint of the actual injury itself, Michael Badgley is in a really, really bad spot. Forget what Dan Campbell said about significant. This is downright terrible. This is catastrophic for him personally. But then, let's look at it from the perspective of now Jake Bates is going to most likely take his job for this year at the very bare minimum. I'm going to tell you this right now. If Jake Bates does as well as I think he's going to do, and as everybody else thinks he's going to do, and most Lions fans are rooting for him to do, I hate to say it, but, Michael Badgley might just become another example of the, Tom Brady effect with Drew Bledsoe. When Drew Bledsoe got injured after the Patriots, had him being their starting quarterback, Tom Brady comes in and the rest is history. Michael Badgley might become another victim of that same effect. Not obviously, the degree of those two types of players, but I'm just simply saying, big injury, knocks out player, then the guy that was supposedly going to compete with you for a job or was going to be your backup potentially, he now steps into the starting role and he ain't looking back. Unfortunately, again, that's kind of the nature of the business. That's why injuries are so devastating because it not only in one sense can end a player's career with a certain team or maybe forever, but it also has the ability to start somebody else's career. That's why I'm saying from a humanitarian standpoint, the injury is just absolutely horrific. But if you're talking about it from Jake Bates' standpoint, this has got to be his biggest break possible for him trying to make a roster. Now, obviously, I'm going to tell you this. Jake Bates still wants to be able to say, hey, I won the job fair and square, not just because Michael Badgley got injured. That's probably another reason why the Lions are bringing in kickers. They don't want to just hand the job to Jake Bates, and I'm pretty confident Jake Bates doesn't want the job just handed to him. He wants to feel like he won the job, like he earned the job. And for me, that speaks once again to the competitive nature, the how should I say it, the true, gritty mindset that this Detroit Lions organization has. They're not going to hand you anything. You have to earn it. And that, I believe, is one of the biggest reasons why the Lions have won, not only made the biggest turnaround that they've had, but why they're most likely going to win the Super Bowl. Because again, they're all about the work. They're all about saying, hey, we're going to put in the work. We're going to earn everything that we get. We're not going to have people just hand stuff to us. We're going to go out and we're going to take it for ourselves. But anyway, folks, I know this is just a quick episode, but again, it's just some big news that happened. There's not a whole lot to it. Most people have heard the story by now. I just wanted to give my take on it. I'm obviously going to release another episode later today once we have some training camp news, once we have some training camp announcements for the day. But until that time, I just want to say thank you all for watching another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, highly encourage you all to watch the next episode and any of my previous content. Also encourage you all to do one of these three things: like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. channel. If by chance you subscribed in the past and you forgot to do so at the time, or you just subscribed and now had a chance to do so, again, highly encourage y'all to subscribe. But I also encourage y'all, please, make sure you hit that bell notification icon at the bottom so that way you guys never miss any more content that I push out. Also encourage y'all to share the content with your Lions friends and family members. Share it here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it anywhere and everywhere you can, so that way we can share that, so that way we can, increase the spread, increase the reach of the channel, to bring in more people. And with that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed the content. Hope y'all are having a good day. Hope y'all got something in your life that makes you happy, makes you smile. God bless. And until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.